First thing I like to do is clean off the glass. There may be sediment or dust or fingerprints on the glass itself, so just grab a cloth, give it a good wipe down. If you're scanning trace drawings or vellum drawings, this document cover may have imperfections on it. So those are things we can either clean off or we can just bring a sheet of white paper with us to use as a cover page. So for scanning trace or vellum, I always have a sheet of white paper or a sheet of my 17 with you. You could set that down there on the glass. And we'll start to explore a couple of different settings about how to scan an image of this nature using the software here. Epson has 3 modes: home mode, office mode, and professional mode. Professional mode gives us the most versatility in terms of the imagery, the sizing, the scaling, and the quality of the image. Document type is from the table. We have a couple different settings here. We have 48-bit color, 24-bit color smoothing, 16-bit grayscale, and 8-bit grayscale, halftone, black and white. All right, color smoothing, I don't recommend for anything. It summarizes too many colors, it washes too many colors out. So if you're scanning on something in color, I just recommend the 24-bit color. That's a very, very excellent color image with millions of colors on it. For what I have on the glass right now, I have an ink drawing on trace. But there's no pencil, there's no halftones in it, there's no grays in this at all. So it's just ink on trace. It could also be ink on regular bond paper or cardstock. So for that, I recommend the black and white setting. And I'll take the preview image. Black and white setting is just going to look for zeros and ones that are black or white. High contrast, black and white. You do have a slider here called the threshold. It's tempting to play with this because that looks more washed out, that looks about right, that looks really intense, and of course it fills in the entire image full contrast, right? Believe it or not, its default setting is pretty good, right in the middle, 100 to 110. Goldilocks says that the porridge is just right, right in the middle there. And it won't always look right on the preview because you're dealing with a much different resolution with that preview setting versus what's actually in it. So I say trust the process, as the 76ers say, and just leave it there at 100 to 110. We then can scale down the intention of the preview. So this is now the area that it's going to actually scan, and then I'll scan it. Now, I have some choices to make about file type and file extension. Not all of these are the same. A JPEG is a lower quality image that is a summarization of all of the bits that it's reading. A TIFF is an uncompressed image. It's higher in memory. It's a bigger file, but it has really good quality for black and white drawings like this. Many of you are submitting PDFs on your phone. It's very easy to make a multi-page PDF on your phone. It's also very easy to make a multi-page PDF using the scanner. So if you're in a hurry, that's the best way to scan lots of stuff. A PDF can always be converted to something else in Photoshop. So if you end up at the end of the summer and all you have is a PDF of something, do not panic, do not worry. It can be converted into a higher resolution image later in Photoshop and that software. But this is to make archival, high-quality scans for your portfolio. I, of course, accept things from your phone as a digital submission for the assignments. That's fine. But if you want high-quality archival work, archival scans for your portfolio, this is the way to do it. So for a black and white drawing, I'm going to pick TIFF. And it'll assign a file name. You have to tell it where to save, either to the desktop or a thumb drive, or to your OneDrive. Any one of those places would work. And that will save that to the desktop. Just for comparison's sake, so here's how it looks. And that's just with the default slider of the threshold right in the middle. So it's picked up all the high contrast areas of black, and it's washed out all of the areas of white. just for comparison, let's look at it again as if it were a grayscale image. Oh, it picks up every wrinkle of that trace paper. So it's going to interpret all of this as a lot of different things, but it's going to create more work for us in terms of how do we get rid of all that wrinkly stuff. So for black and white drawings, ink on paper, ink on trace, the black and white setting is a very good setting for you. Because the comparison here means that we're going to have to really work with this image here to get this ready for portfolio, because it's really, really great. Now, for a grayscale image, so a pencil drawing, something which has a lot of gray in it. Pencil. I had a watercolor. For pencil drawing, the grayscale setting is the best setting because it picks up all of the subtleties of the grays that are part of the drawing. So that setting, 8-bit grayscale will work just fine for that. We'll pick up all of the subtleties of pencil drawings that are not visible in this black and white setting that we just used for the ink. So you can see the difference here. I've got, here's a page of the landscape graphics scanned in grayscale, and here's that same page scanned as a black and white document. And you can see the difference here. See how all the subtleties of gray are visible, and in the black and white setting, all those are washed out. So you notice the difference in the quality. So the grayscale setting is very good for drawings that have lots of gradations or lots of pencil or subtleties that are not visible with that black and white setting. Okay. Okay. If you would like to make drawings from your SketchUp model, I show how to extract two-dimensional imagery, the top view, the side view, the left, the right view from the model. And you can print those things out, and those are accurate elevation views if you're basing them off the model. If you don't want to do that, if you don't, if your SketchUp model is not what you desire it to be, or it's not something that you want to spend a lot of time with, you can actually just scan the model, place it here on the glass. So I remove the top cover, and I'm just going to place the model directly on the glass. Obviously, this view is not that interesting, but I can set the model directly on the glass. And I'll grab a preview of that. So it looks something like that. And then I can set the view window just around the exact portions of this that I wish. So it just makes a bounding box around the scan itself. All right. So in the Frank Ching world, in the design drawing vocabulary, it's described in the textbook. What does the scanner glass become in the world of orthographic drawings, in the world of Frank Ching's vocabulary in the textbook? What does this in fact become? If we were making elevations of this model, what does the scanner glass become? It's become the picture plane. It's whenever Frank Ching refers to the picture plane, you're projecting lines and edges to a picture plane to make an elevation of something. So this scanner glass has become the picture plane. So anything touching the picture plane is accurate, right? We can see these edges and these walls and this portion of the model are all touching the picture plane. They're 100% accurate. But what's different? What's wrong here? There's something wrong in there. I'm pointing to it right now. What's wrong there? that's the floor of the model. What's it doing? Yeah, it's in perspective, isn't it? That floor is in perspective. It's vanishing to a horizon line sort of in the middle. Okay? Aha. So do you draw it that way? If this is an elevation? No. Do not draw it that way, because that would be drawing a perspective of this model. So that's something you've got to keep in mind, that, oh, this floor is in fact vanishing to a vanishing point in a horizon line that don't exist in an elevation style drawing. So this scan can help us set up the drawing, but don't follow it 100%, right? Draw the elevation as you see the model. So things like this column here should be touching the floor, right? Things like this box here should be touching the floor. So this image can be good for some things, but it could be deceiving in other things, because it is in fact a perspective image. To print it out, I select the resolution. Again, you can select all these different resolutions. These are in dots per inch, DPI, dots per inch. That's really important to remember. So for your portfolio, I recommend 150 to 200 or even 300 dots per inch for a portfolio-ready image. For PowerPoints, you only need anywhere from 96 to 150. So it's going to scan the image at full size. And for this one, I'm going to pick the halftone view, because that picks up a little bit more of the subtleties of the background there. And I do want to help. I want this image to help me locate and help set up this drawing while I'm looking at the model. And we can adjust the brightness and contrast here with halftone. Set it. And that's going to give us some good stuff to print out. Okay. All right. So then I got the bounding box there, so I'll scan that to the desktop. There's the image now. I'm going to open it in Microsoft Paint. Microsoft Paint is going to allow me to crop it, crop the image down to its exact boundaries, like so, and then get it ready to print. So I go to Menu, and then Print. But the drawings are not 11 by 11, are they? No, they're half scale. They're 5.5 by 5.5. There's 6 views, all 6 views, right? So I don't print it out full scale. I want to print it out half. So that means I can print, 2D print here in Paint, and I can tell it to print it on a statement sheet of paper. A statement sheet of paper is half of a letter size sheet of paper. It's 5.5 by 8.5. So this, in effect, if I print this image to a smaller sheet of paper, is a way of getting it to print out at half size. So if I pick a statement sheet of paper and I tell it to fit to page and align it, now it will print out this scanned image of this model at half size. Okay, there's a couple of different ways to do this, but this is one way to do it. And then, so it's a smaller sheet of paper, and I tell it to fit it to page. And select which printer it sends to. I'm going to send it to the default printer, and that'll be the black and white printer. So we go print. It might ask for your credentials again. And that will now send it to the printer. It'll give you your balance as well. So you have an allowance every semester for your printing allowance. Take it over here. And we select the job, or jobs. It doesn't have statement paper loaded, so just tell it that it needs to be on an 8.5 by 11. So it'll still print small, but it'll print that smaller image on a letter size sheet of paper. But it doesn't have statement paper printed, so it'll come out that smaller size on a regular letter sheet. Okay. This way you can set up all 6 of your views. This way you can set up all 6 of your views the way you want them and trace them into the vellum. Okay, so that is a way that we can save time, build the model, scan the model, and use those scans to help set up the drawings. Okay, just if we remember a couple of things. One, how to scale the prints to appropriate size, and remember that some elements are in perspective. We need to correct for those. Okay, so this is a way that you can help create the drawings by scanning directly from your model by not using SketchUp. Okay. Okay. All right.